talk now.
Very good evening. It is my pleasure to be part of the IOC meeting. My name is Aniruddha Agarwal. Thank you to the scientific committee for inviting me to talk about avoiding plagiarism and reducing rejection. I'm at the Cleveland Clinic, Abu Dhabi, and it's my pleasure to be here today. So we all know that plagiarism is indeed a bad thing because it is not only infringing academic ethics and norms, but it's a form of theft and a type of fraud. Those of us who are indulging in plagiarism ultimately cheat ourselves because this is not true research. It does not lead to any new discovery, and you're cheating your peers, colleagues, and your students. And remember, plagiarism reflects incompetence. So what happens to plagiarists is that once you are detected with a plagiarism, normally you are, before submitting any research work to any journal, you will have signed a declaration or a copyright form for every piece of work that you submit. So once this article or research paper is submitted, there will be various softwares that can detect or pick plagiarism. And these are powerful tools which not only detect written work, but also images and other features that you may have copied from other manuscripts. So if there is a suspicion of plagiarism, there will be notification to the editorial board and evidence will be supplied along with this. The accused will then be invited to respond to the charge, and if found guilty, the piece of work in question will be graded as 0. This will have consequences to your overall degree and education. Although there will be rights to appeal, there will be an investigation at the level of the university. There could be possible disciplinary action by the university against you. So it's very easy, just say no to plagiarism and perform original research work. But remember, it's not so easy to always avoid 100% plagiarism because plagiarism softwares could detect simple sentences in English, such as, for example, there could be certain words like this image was analyzed. This could be detected as plagiarism. And therefore, most universities they have guidelines of keeping the plagiarism less than 12%. And there is some concession on review articles because review articles is not necessarily an original research, but a narrative review could take certain sentences or at least meanings of sentences from certain other articles. So you could have a higher range for review articles. Now, it's very important that you circulate your manuscript among the co-authors and your peers, at least within the university, to obtain comments. This could be also circulation to your ethics committee and IRB. And you must get a final approval from everyone before submitting the manuscript so that you are completely safe and you have declared all your competing interests. Now, oftentimes what happens, and we forget this could be unintentional, that when you're quoting some article or some person directly, remember to keep the person's names and write your statement in a quotation mark. And those direct quotes, they could, if they're making the most significant impact on your paper, then you should definitely reference it and acknowledge the source of the particular sentence. Avoid direct sentences from other manuscripts, and you should always try to paraphrase or rephrase or get the meaning of this and put it in your manuscript. So always indicate the sentence which has been taken from other manuscripts and acknowledge the source, including the exact page numbers in the reference. Now, there are certain steps to writing a paper which can avoid rejection of your paper in different journals that you submit. Remember, the first thing that you should do is to organize all your data, demographics and figures, and draw proper conclusions of your research and working hypothesis. Once you have this ready, remember to work on your methods, and it must be very unique and it must be very detailed. The next step would be to choose your results and your representative cases. And once you've organized all of this, spend a lot of time on the discussion and perform an extensive literature review. One of the final steps would be to write the introduction leading to your study and finishing off with abstract, title page, and keywords. Now, in the beginning of this journey, if you feel that your research does not really contribute any new information to the literature, it's best not to proceed with it, or at least find out certain novelty in your study before you submit. Unless your study has a new aspect to it or a novelty, it will not be accepted for publication. And with the high number of researches coming out every day, it's very difficult to publish each article that is being submitted. And remember, the chances of rejection therefore will be quite high. Don't forget to acknowledge your co-authors and your peers. So very important aspect in your study should be to focus on one single relevant aim of the study. And do your observations provide any answers to your question? I always encourage original research. I always discourage images and letters, because I feel just publishing images in the journals, it could be a very good side research. When you have really an interesting case, you could contribute it actually to an image bank rather than publish it as an image. A letter usually is not regarded very well in the academic world. And if you are criticizing others' work and writing nasty letters, you can remember, you can actually get one yourself when you publish an original work. When you submit or when you prepare a manuscript, don't be very journal focused. Do not do your research based on the scopes of the journal. And most readers will actually focus on the article itself and not on the journal. And most readers will see quality information, and they would browse PubMed, they would Google and find your article anyway. So just a few points on the introduction and other aspects of your study. Keep the introduction crisp, and there should be, avoid unnecessary lengthy prologues, and you should at least structure it so that you avoid these kind of introductions which will be rejected, and nobody will feel like reading it. And this way you can also avoid plagiarism by filling in too many information. So when you write an introduction, remember, close your file, save it, and get back to it after a week or so. And you will realize that you actually made so many mistakes, and you can rephrase so many sentences again. In your methods, provide enough information, provide details on patient recruitment and chronology. Be detailed, but not very detailed, because nobody has the time to read just your methods. I always organize my results and declutter and use certain headings that make it more appealing, and it also breaks the monotony. Avoid self-citation in the discussion. One way to do this is to be very well read, and when you're quoting others' work, please acknowledge their work and add them in the references. Avoid unnecessary statements. So this is a study where I had to cancel one entire statement because this is not a part of your study, and this should be completely avoided. Summarize your results quietly. Understand the limitations of your explorations and the scope of your investigation. So accept that you did not evaluate a certain thing in your study, and you were not able to evaluate certain things in your study. Do not use any formatting, just use simple text. Sometimes excessive formatting also is an important cause of rejection, along with grammatical errors. And remember, reference managers such as Zotero, Reference Manager, or EndNote are very useful. Where to publish? Again, it's not so important. Read the journal and its scope and publish ethical, good research. And I'm sure if you have done a lot of hard work and if you are dedicated to your research, you will ultimately find a journal where your article will be published. Thank you very much.